board meeting. You know, I had a chance to stop by the crime lab. I talked with its director, Scott Giles, a really good guy. The men and women who work at the crime lab are professional and do an excellent job. And he gave me this log. This is a log from 1960, right? In the first entry, that's 57 years ago, January 3rd of 1960, there's an entry in this log from the city of Minnetonka. It's called the Minnetonka Sports Club. This is how we used to do business at the crime lab. 57 years ago, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of cases later, here we are today. And members of the Hennepin County Board want to remove the authority for the Hennepin County Sheriff Crime Lab and transfer it under county administration. But that's not such an easy thing to do. There are many people here who have a vested interest in what happens in the Hennepin County Sheriff Crime Lab, and I'm hoping over the next hour or so upstairs when this meeting starts that they have an opportunity to hear from these stakeholders. As John said, there are police chiefs, there are police officers, there are members of the community, of our community advisory board, elected officials, and others. At the end of the day, this is my user advisory board. These men and women who are standing behind me who do the work every single day on behalf of the residents of Hennepin County. I'm not going to delay this with hearing from you. You're going to get a chance to hear from me upstairs. And I'll lay it out for you, my case about why this is not just bad public policy, but bad for public safety countywide. But for the next 10 minutes or so, I want you to hear from some of our guests. Again, the user advisory board, the men and women who make this happen. First is a very special friend of ours. His name is Tom Heffelfinger. Tom is the former U.S. attorney. I will allow him to introduce himself, but I'm hoping you'll listen to what he has to say with decades of law enforcement and criminal justice experience. Tom?
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Heffelfinger, and I'm a lifelong resident of Hennepin County, but more specifically to this issue, I've spent over 40 years practicing criminal law in this county. About half of that time as a prosecutor and half as a defense lawyer. Throughout my extended career, especially as the presidentially appointed U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, I have regularly worked with federal, state, and local crime laboratories, including the Hennepin County Crime Lab. The crime labs at any level are an essential component of our criminal justice system because we rely on those men and women to process crime scenes, collect evidence, store that evidence, analyze that evidence, retrieve that evidence, and introduce it into court prosecutions. As such, that evidence is essential to an effective prosecution system, but it's also essential to the rights of the accused who rely on that evidence to defend themselves. Placing a crime laboratory under the jurisdiction of a non-law enforcement administrator, no matter how well-intentioned, creates a significant risk. Right now, with crime laboratories throughout this state managed by law enforcement officers, that ensures that those men and women who handle that evidence are handling it consistent with the laws of the state as it relates to the law enforcement function. Taking that supervision and management away from law enforcement creates a risk, as I said, not only for prosecutions, but also for those that are accused. I'm out of office now, but I am, as a Hennepin County resident, eager to inform the county board of my view that this proposal is bad public policy for the people of Hennepin County. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Julie Deschler, and I'm here representing the residents and the City Council in the City of Crystal. The first we heard about this proposed amendment was last Friday. And, it kind of stunned us because in Crystal we have a very well-run, efficient, organized police department who relies so much on the partners of the crime lab, Hennepin County Crime Lab. And I guess I'm here today to just kind of state my concerns that this proposal has not been vetted out amongst the stakeholders. what kind of service interruptions will our police department and our residents see by changing administration in the crime lab? And what cost will this be to the communities and the taxpayers? So I guess I am just here to not show my support for this proposal and to ask for a further review and more investigation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Franzen. I'm the police chief for the city of Robbinsdale. And I have 31 years experience in law enforcement, working for 2 different communities in Hennepin County. I've worked with Hennepin County Crime Lab as an officer on the street, as a supervisor on the street, and most recently now as the chief of police. When I was notified last Friday that there were going to be some significant changes done to the crime lab, I was quite taken back and surprised, as well as many of my peers. Public safety that you see standing behind me that are also here today, expressing the same concern of why these changes need to be made. It's not that anyone's necessarily opposed to changes, but we don't feel that we have had any input in this area. There are always things we know and we don't know. I can say that we do know that we've always received outstanding service from the crime lab in terms of response time, in terms of evidence collection, turnaround time, helping us solve some cases. We've always felt that the Hennepin County Crime Lab have served our communities well, and so we have an interest in being here today. Myself and those you see standing behind me, we just have some interest in wanting to know that the services that we've grown to accustomed to are going to continue, and we haven't been convinced yet that any of these changes that are being proposed are necessarily going to make things better or more efficient. We're open to hearing what the board has to say. We've read the amendment, have some questions about that amendment. Again, we're not looking to say that we're against any changes, but just the way they've gone about doing this, we just have a lot of questions about why this is taking place, and we'd also like to have some input before that decision is made. Thank you.
My name is Paul Beerhouse. I'm representing the Sheriff's Community Advisory Board. Just a little background, I spent 15 years in narcotics and homicide investigations, as well as 15 years as a military police provost marshal, which is equivalent to a police chief. In my years as civilian law enforcement, I've seen the use and the value of the crime lab. It used to be right next to where we were working homicide. I'll give you one example. We had a homicide in the laundry at about 8:30 in the morning, and when we got to the scene, there was no evidence whatsoever except a smudged fingerprint. We found that fingerprint, took it to the crime lab, and they said, gee, we're sorry, we're really busy right now, you're going to have to wait. So because it was the same agency, the sheriff then said, no, you're going to check this out right away. They did check it out right away. We found who the perpetrator was, and we were able to arrest him within an hour after the lab gave us that information as he was boarding a bus to go down to Mexico. So had that been a regional lab or somewhere else, and we couldn't get the priorities on the same level with both agencies, that perpetrator would be gone. And I can tell you many, many more stories as far as narcotics and homicide cases that work. My concern on this particular issue is that there's been no notification. You've heard the speakers before me say that we just heard about this last week. Well, this is no way to do public policy. I mean, it reminds me a little bit about the Affordable Care Act, when someone in the legislature in Washington said, well, just pass the thing and then we'll figure out what it is later. That's exactly what's being said here today, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. I also researched this morning what agencies of stature in the United States have tried this and not done it. 2. Broward County, Florida, in 2009 tried to do this, and the people said, no, we don't want it, so the county commission took it away. Los Angeles Police Department, after the O.J. Simpson cases, wanted to combine all the labs, both the county and the city, and they took it to votes, and they came out, we don't want to do it. So all I can say is that this agency has a crime lab that is a premier agency in the state of Minnesota. There are no problems with it. Recognized as one of the top in the state. If it ain't broken, why try and fix it? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Davis. I had a 35-year career in law enforcement within basically Hennepin County. Worked with 4 suburban agencies, had the privilege of serving as chief for 3 of those agencies. Additionally, I was commissioner for the Minnesota Department of Public Safety under Governor Arnie Carlson. I'm very familiar with the operations, the functions, and responsibilities of the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department. I've worked with 3 sheriffs, including Sheriff Standing. As a former professional law enforcement administrator, I must share with you I'm totally offended by the way this proposal has come out. There is no user input, there was no citizen input. Out of the blue, there's 2 studies cited in their background information. One took place in 2010, one took place in 2016. If you read the summaries, the one in 2010 said there are a lot of obstacles to overcome. The one in 2016 said, we concur with that. Too many obstacles. What were the obstacles? What has happened to them? How have they been eliminated in the course of just a few months? And suddenly on January 1st, 2018, this whole operation is going to change. As previous speakers have said, ladies and gentlemen, this is an answer looking for a question to be asked. It's kind of reminiscent of another situation, I believe it was 1982 or 83 in Hennepin County. Just before the first of the year, we were notified by Hennepin County without any previous notification that in January 1 of the next year, booking fees were going to be imposed in the Hennepin County Jail. City officials, mayors, city managers, police chiefs, we were dumbfounded. No previous notification. Much like this, we activated people to come and let the county commission hear. We really thought about this situation. County administrator at that time, Dale Ackman, later apologized. Folks, I'm only the messenger here. We at that time impacted and delayed that decision for over a year. We had police chiefs publicly stating, journalistically saying, we're not going to book people in the jail any longer. We're going to write arrests and let those people go. What good public policy, what good public safety would have emanated from that kind of conduct? None. Absolutely none. And in my opinion, this decision, made without user input, where is the citizen input? We hear all about, oh, this is a law enforcement operation. Definitely. But don't forget, crime lab services are also very, very valuable to defense attorneys, to defendants. Good crime lab work is many times going to clear some person who's been arrested. It's going to help establish and determine their innocence. So the county board, I say, you better take another deep breath, folks. Do something, do it right, do something that results in good public policy. Thank you.
Okay, so as promised, we were going to wrap it up fairly quickly, give you a chance to head on upstairs. But I think you get kind of the general messaging from this group of very dedicated men and women who are public safety professionals and residents of this county. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Crime Lab serves over 1 million residents across 44 cities. We've been here 57 years. They handle over 2,700 crime scenes and investigations a year. You never hear about a problem with it. Not from the criminal justice system, not from the bench, not from law enforcement. We work really hard. Best practice is just that. Over 85% of the crime labs operating across this country operate the same way that the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office operates its crime lab. We are internationally accredited. I hope you'll join me upstairs at 1 o'clock. Okay, thank you very much. We're up on floor 24. So.